Don't use your brand new PS5 until you've heard these tips. If you just got a brand new PS5 or PS5 Pro for Christmas and you're worried about someone catching you gaming way too late, you're gonna wanna turn off your console's beep. Just head to System Settings and Beep, and you can actually turn it off completely so that when you turn your console on or off, it doesn't make that classic PS3 era beep, or you can set it to quieter, so it'll be a little bit of a quieter beep, like beep. Or you can just leave it loud like I do because I'm an adult and I own my house and no one cares if I turn on my PS5 at 2 a.m. because it's my house. But if you're younger and your parents get mad when you play games late at night like mine did, I wasn't even allowed to play games in the summer. You can go full stealth mode by turning the lights to dim mode. When you're in that same menu, there's another sub menu for console lighting. Unfortunately, you can't turn the lighting off all the way on the PlayStation 5, but you can set it to dim, and then I guess you could just cover it with a blanket. Back in my day, consoles didn't really have lights. We had the green light on the PS3 that you would just wait for it to turn yellow when the Blu-ray laser died. But other than that, you know, the 360 was pretty bright, but it wasn't nearly as bright as the new consoles that have the light bar on them. You know what I'm saying? Another thing you're going to want to familiarize yourself with right away is the fact that your DualSense, whether it's an Edge or a regular DualSense, has a mic built in and it defaults to on. So if you're playing Call of Duty or Space Marine 2, those are two games that I know default to having your mic open in the lobbies no matter what. So you can actually mute that mic in multiple different ways. The first way is to just hit the mic button on your controller. It'll turn orange. That's how you know the microphone is off. You'll also get a little notification on your PlayStation 5 itself. But if you never want the mic on, go to Settings, Sound, Microphone, and then you can set it to default to off. And then when you turn on your console, the controller will always have a bright orange light on it, which I don't know what they were thinking there. I don't think the microphone really matters all that much in the controller, but there is features that take advantage of it. So I usually keep mine defaulted to off, but this next tip I think is going to make you want to leave it on for at least a little bit. You can actually talk to your console. When you turn on your PS5 for the first time, it's going to ask you if you want to enable voice features. They're kind of cool. You just say, hey, P word, as in PlayStation, you know, like, hey, and then you'll get the little microphone thing. The audio will kind of like quiet itself on your console. You can launch games. You can turn your console off. You can ask it tons of different things. I've Googled it before to get the full list of commands. You can even tell it to skip songs in Spotify or Apple Music if you're playing Gran Turismo and use your own music like I do. The next thing you're going to want to wrap your head around is the storage situation. If you got a PS5 Pro, I think you're good because on board it has 2 terabytes and that should be enough to add at least a few PS5 and PS4 games, but you do have the same expansion slot on the Pro that you do on the Slim. If you have a Slim, you get 1 terabyte of storage and that's it. The first thing you should buy while they're on after Christmas sale and everything like that with whatever money you got for Christmas is an extra SSD for your console. Now, back when the PS5 came out, they were like $270. They were really expensive. Now you can get like 2 terabyte drives with a heatsink for like $120, or I've seen them as low as like $100 on Amazon or Best Buy. And if you want to go to the physical store and get it, Best Buy will price match with Amazon. So just print out the page or screenshot it on your phone, show it to them at the register, and if there's a better deal on Amazon, they'll honor it at Best Buy. If you're someone who has a lot of PS4 games, another solution you have that will save you even more money is buying an external SSD. Those have like gotten so cheap. You can get them for like $60, get an extra 2 or 3 terabytes for your console, and then you can move your PS4 games over to that and play them off that drive. You can store PS5 games on that drive, but you cannot play them. And that comes in super handy if you're ever going to delete a game. Do not delete it, just move it over to your external drive, because then if you ever want to play it again, you can move the game back and then you'll only have to download whatever patch is released since you moved it over, and you won't have to re-download the entire game, which takes a lot longer than just downloading a couple of patches, unless you're playing like Call of Duty or Destiny where it re-downloads the entire game like every 2 months for no reason. Speaking of storage, if you didn't know this, your PS5 records every trophy you get. So whether it's a bronze, a silver, a gold, a platinum, it doesn't matter. It'll record a little video and save a screenshot. You can actually turn that off. You can go to Settings, Captures, Trophies, and if you're in that menu, you can actually specify which ones it records. So if you want it to record when you get a platinum or a gold trophy, you can leave it with with that, or you can just do what I did and turn it off entirely. If you've had a PS5 for a couple of years now, just go into the media gallery and delete all those videos because they're small. They're a couple hundred megabytes, but you know, you get a lot of trophies in games, so they add up quick. I bet you could free up at least enough space for a new game if you're 4 years into your PS5 journey like most people are. The next thing you're going to want to do is download the PlayStation app if you haven't already. There's tons of great features with it. You can download your screenshots and video clips that you take if you take the 15-second ones directly from the app. So when I beat my first Gran Turismo and 100% of that game with all golds, I screenshotted the screen, the little achievement screen, it beamed right to my phone in like 2 seconds, which was awesome. You can wishlist games, and if that game ever goes on sale, you'll get a notification, and you can engage with PlayStation Stars, which is excellent. It's their rewards program. I said it was excellent. It's actually terrible. You get points back for buying games or completing campaigns, which are super simple. You can then spend those points on currency. You used to be able to spend it on $5 or $20. Then they took it away. And right now the $5 one is back. It doesn't limit you to just one. You can actually stack them. So if you're someone who's upset that they're charging $20 for the Killzone crossover and Helldivers, go see how many PlayStation Stars points you have, stack up some PlayStation gift cards, and then you'll be able to get it technically for free because that's money back you already spent. But regardless, you should definitely engage with the PlayStation app and PlayStation Stars. The last cool feature with the app that I want to mention is that you can download games directly to your console. So if you're out and about, you get a PlayStation gift card from your mom at 7-Eleven, you want to buy a game on the app on your phone, you can download it to your console so it's ready to play when you get home, unless you have the internet, because then you'll have to wait all night regardless. So you should still get a head start. If you have an OLED TV or OLED monitor, you're going to want to protect it from burn-in. Basically the PS5's UI, it's a static screen. If the console stays on when you're not using it, it could burn into your TV, and that is not what you want to deal with. Under screen and video, go to screen and set it to automatically dim after like 5 minutes. I mean, I know some people look at TikTok or whatever between matches, but 5 minutes should be long enough for it to dim. And if it does dim and you're still playing, just move the stick and it'll undim and everything will look great. It'll protect your TV in the long run, which is most important. So if you're like me, you play a lot of games, but you have a lot that you go back to throughout the year, like Gran Turismo 7. I bet you didn't know that you could actually pin games to your home screen. If you didn't know, your home screen shows your most recent games first. So if you just played a game, it'll be first. If you haven't played a game in 6 months, it'll keep getting pushed down the list. But if you want to keep a game in your home screen, just hit the option button, scroll all the way down, toggle on the switch that says keep in home screen, and it'll stay there. You can actually save up to 5 games, keep them permanently there, and then the other 6 or so slots will be kept up with recently played games. So that's a cool little feature that I bet you didn't know about. I know we all want themes on our PlayStation 5. The 30th anniversary ones are cool, but you can also customize the welcome hub. You can change around the widgets, you can move them around. I turned basically all of them off except for the ones I actually wanted. You can also get new custom backgrounds, and the best way to get those custom backgrounds for your PlayStation 5 is to head to the PlayStation Store, pick any game, and scroll down to the screenshots. You can make them full screen, you can hide the UI, you can screenshot them, and then when you're in the welcome hub, you can set those screenshots as a custom background. If you have a 4K TV, those screenshots are 4K, they look immaculate. There's screenshots for any game you can think of out there, so you can basically get any wallpaper you want. If you want to get something weird that's not from a game, like a car or something, you can just put it on a USB drive, put that into your console, import that image, and make that the background for your welcome hub. But if you got a PS5 Pro, I'd leave it at default because there's an exclusive background that it defaults to, which is a background that moves of the PS5 Pro's APU, and it honestly looks awesome. The next thing you're going to want to do if you have a soundbar or a big speaker system setup is to tell your PS5 what speakers you're using. So this is under screen and video settings, and then there's HDMI device type. It'll let you pick between soundbar, AV system, TV speakers, whatever you have connected to your PS5. I have a Sonos Beam, so I set it to soundbar. Gotta be real, didn't notice a difference, but I'm sure the audiophiles out there who have the whole Dolby Atmos setup and everything like that, they're the ones who are going to want to take advantage of this feature. And you know, the PS5 doesn't default to the correct sound settings for whatever you're using, so just make sure it's set up right and you'll always get the best audio. If you got a PS5 Pro and you play PS4 games, you should definitely toggle this feature on that makes them look better. Go to System Settings, Screen and Video, and then under Video Output, you'll see an option to enhance the quality of PS4 games. Now, it isn't going to make them run at 4K or 60 frames per second. What it's going to do is clean up the edges. If you're playing a 1080p game on a 4K TV, it'll look a lot cleaner. It even works on Bloodborne. It's the only feature that Pro consoles have, whether it's the PS4 Pro or PS5 Pro, that actually works on Bloodborne. Regardless, even if you're going to play a PS4 game in the future, you should definitely turn this on first because it defaults to off. One thing you'll definitely notice is that your PS5 doesn't always have the best connection speed, and that's because it defaults to switching between 2.4 and 5 gigahertz connections. You can tell it to default to the fastest speeds. Just go into the internet settings, and when you're connected to Wi-Fi, push the options button on your Wi-Fi network, and then you can tell it to default to whatever gigahertz your modem supports. So mine goes up to 5 gigahertz. I set it to default to 5 gigahertz, but if you got a 6 gigahertz setup or a 7 gigahertz setup, you can tell it to default to that. And even though it's still going to be slower than every device on your network for no discernible reason, unless you hardwire it, you'll know that it's getting the fastest speeds possible, which is super important. The next thing you're going to want to do is set your defaults. In system settings, there's a menu option called Save Data in Game/App Options or something like that. If you click into that menu, you can change the default settings for every game you play, and it's pretty granular now. So for first-person games, you can set it to always invert. Same for third-person games. You can pick it between performance or quality mode, whichever one you prefer. You can pick what difficulty you want to default to. Hell, you can even default subtitles on or off. I hate subtitles in games because I like watching the cutscene, so I have it defaulted to off. I also have it set to performance mode. You're going to want to do that if you have a PS5 Pro because that's theoretically the whole reason you bought the console. Next up, make sure your PS5 is always charging your stuff. So earlier this year, they introduced a feature where the USB ports on the PS5 will turn off in rest mode after 3 hours. So if you have a DualSense Edge plugged in or a DualSense, it might turn off before the controller is fully charged, and you can fix that. Under system settings, go to power saving settings, and then there's a little option for USB port power. Just set it to always. So when your PS5 is in rest mode and you plug something into it, you can guarantee that whatever you plugged into it will charge and be ready to go the next time you turn on your console. You're definitely going to want to do that if you got a DualSense Edge because the battery life is horrendous. And if you're someone who bought the DualSense Edge for reduced latency and you use it wired, you're going to want to know that you actually have to tell it to use the wired connection even if it is plugged in. So for this, go to accessory settings, click the controller, and tell it that you're using the USB cable to connect to your console, and then it'll use that connection instead of the Bluetooth connection, and theoretically you'll get better latency. I can't tell a difference, but apparently other people can, especially people who play stuff like Apex or Call of Duty. I didn't notice in Gran Turismo, your mileage is going to vary, but you know, I figured I'd throw that tip in there because there are people who like using wired connections with their controllers, and maybe you've been using the wired connection and you didn't know it was Bluetooth this whole time. So that's my huge list of PS5 and PS5 Pro tips. I hope you found something new here that you didn't know about, whether you've had a PS5, you just got one, or you just got a PS5 Pro. To close out this video, just wanted to give you guys a huge heartfelt thank you for watching my videos throughout the year. It's thanks to you I get to do this as a job, and I am very appreciative of it. Anyway guys, that's all I've got for you in this one. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.